Interfaces. Interfaces define properties, methods, and event which are the member of interfaces. Interfaces contain only the declaration of the member. So interfaces are something similar to classes, but we need not to define the whole hierarchical way we define a class. We can define interfaces quickly and we can use them as a data type like number and a string. And while calling an object of type of any interface type, we can use that keyword the way we define interface. So let's have an example to understand it better. Let's delete this and let's minimize this, and we'll follow the same code given on the slides. So first we use the interface keyword. Then here we give the name of the uh, interface name, which we'll be using while calling an object of type interface. So maybe I person, and this data type which you are defining in an interface contains two string and a one function. Let's say this data has first name which is of type string. So we only define types here, and it also has a last name which is also of type string, and it's also have a function which says say hi. And to define a type of function, there's a shortcut. We say parentheses, then equals to goes to some string. So it says say hi is a type function, uh, and the returning type is of type string. So here we have defined our interface. Now let's create a variable of this type of interface. So we can use a var keyword. Then we can say we want a variable name to be customer. Then here, as we earlier used to define, we would need to give a data type. We can also use our interface. So I'll use I person. And now to define this customer, we need to give these three values. So to give these three values, we use a curly brackets, and here in the first name, now we need to give actually the first name. We can say it to be Tom. Then within the last name, we need to give the value of the last name. We can say Hanks. And then with the say hi, we can give a function which returns a type string, and this goes to, then we can return the string. The string can be hello. Now let's call this customer and see what we get. So let's use this console.log, and within this we use the variable console customer. Now let's try to run this code. First we convert our code using tsc, then the name of the file app.ts. Then we use node to run the app.js file. So we can see here the first name, and there's a string after that which says Tom, and then there's a last name, and after that last name we have a string of Hank, and then in the say hi, it is a function which says say hi, and everything is inside a curly bracket, which means it's an object. So to access the first name, the last name, and the say hi function, we use dot. as we used to access an uh, parameter inside an object. So we can use first name. Similarly, we can use last name. Now run our code again converting it to an app.js file, then use node on the app.js file. We got Tom Hank. Similarly, we can use say hi function, and to call a function, we use parentheses. Let's save this and run our code again. First converting into a JS file, then using that JS file, we run with the help of node, and the result we got hello, as this is we wanted to be returned while calling the say hi function. So this is how we define an interfaces in TypeScript. And later, this is how we create a variable using such particular interface. And after we create a variable, we can access the properties using dot and then the name of the property. Classes in TypeScript. As we know, classes are the uh, way in a code is something similar to what a car factory would be. Like in a car factory, they have all the information about making a car and all the tools to actually make a car, and that particular factory supplies a lot of cars. Similarly, the classes has all the information about the object we are trying to make, and from a particular class definition, we can create as many as object we want. Suppose we want to create a class of type employees. So all the information about employees needs to be structured there, about their salaries, about their employee code, about their names. Every detail about the employees should go inside this class. That makes our coding a bit easier, and it is a way we do object-oriented programming. So now let's write classes in TypeScript. This is our text editor, and let's write a very simple class using TypeScript. We'll first write the class keyword to define a class, and let's say it is of type. The name of the class is car, and we if the way we define a property is we write the name of that property or the variable name. Let's say price, and it is of type number. And then we write our constructor inside this class. To write a constructor, we use this constructor function with the parentheses and then a curly bracket. Within this constructor parentheses, all the object which all the values or the variables which we want to be inside our class while defining an object, all those values, all those parameters will actually come inside the constructor. So let's say we want to give the value of price while defining an object of type car. So we can do that using giving a variable inside our constructor. Let's say our price is in rupees, and rupees is a variable and it is also of type number. Now to assign this parameter rupees to our price member, a member, we can use this keyword. And after this, we write the property which we want to assign this value. So this price is equals to rupees. So we use this keyword, then dot, then the name of the global parameter. We can use this keyword inside any method which we want to define inside our car class or any other classes, and then this dot the value of our public variable which we have defined inside the car, and we can bind them or we can assign the value to this price which will get while the construction of an object. Now let's see how we can actually make a car object. We use a var keyword, then the name of the car can be Audi, and then this is equals to we use a new keyword to specify that we are making a new object and it is of type car. And while giving a car in our constructor, we have given one parameter which is of type number. So we need to give it some number. Now this number goes into price, and this is the price of the car. We have created Audi of type car, which we defined earlier. Now the way we access the members of this car class is using a dot, then the name of that property. Let's say we want to print the price of this Audi. We use Audi dot price. Now let's run our code uh, using TypeScript app.ts first, then using Node to run our JavaScript code. We got the price of this Audi car. So this is how we write our classes in TypeScript. Let's get back to our slide. Here we have given another example of employee. You can look at the code. It's almost similar to what we are doing in the car class.